Apple TV's Murderbot has dropped the first couple of episodes and is off to a snarky and darkly comedic beginning. But does the rest of the series deliver that same sort of quirky tone? A security cyborg struggles with emotions and free will while balancing dangerous missions and desire for isolation while it finds its place in the world. Alexander Skarsgård stars in the title role, and I am fully convinced that he is the perfect choice to voice this droll and mildly depressed security unit assigned to protect a group of what he describes as science-y hippies. This takes place in some future reality where people populate and explore all sorts of planets and systems throughout the universe. Now, I liken Skarsgård's character, at least in personality, to Alan Rickman's performance of Marvin in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I mean, not so despondent and on the verge of a breakdown, but still wildly sarcastic with a strong distaste for the humans that he serves. And Skarsgård has just the right inflections in his voice to create the necessary amount of disdain and indifference toward the hippies. And each line delivery, we can sense his feelings just dripping from his tongue. But Skarsgård isn't the only reason to watch this. The cast is wild, and it works to build a group of people that are strange, almost cultish, but deeply concerned for each other. And then we also have this small clips from a Star Trek-like show that Murderbot loves to watch. And that cast, they're also brilliant, fully understanding their assignments and then attacking them with full abandon. Now, for the hippies that Murderbot is tasked with protecting, we have Numa Dumenzwini, David Desmalchian, Sabrina Wu, Akshay Kahana, Tamra Podemsky, and Tatiana Jones. They all complement each other, crafting diverse personalities that will frustrate and enamor. And their timing together, I thought was wonderful. I mean, I wasn't sure at the very beginning because they come across as a bit strong and sometimes grating, which is a stark contrast to Murderbot. But as the show went along and I got to know their personalities more, they really gelled together and they formed this team that I was totally invested in and concerned for their outcomes. And then within the TV show, we have John Cho, Alex Cruz, Clark Gregg, Jack McBrayer, and DeWanda Wise. Now, the costume designs, they are phenomenally cringy in all of the right ways. And their storylines are just melodramatic and played with so much bravado that it's hard not to want to see more of them. And I was talking with my friend Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday, and he had mentioned how he would just love to watch a spin-off series of that show. He's not wrong. I mean, I don't think a long-term show would be as satisfying, but just watching the antics of the cast and then the ridiculous storylines play out, I think that would make for a great, quick, limited series. Now, the storytelling throughout this show is surprisingly dramatic, but in a good way. And I'm referring to Murderbot, not the show within the show. The storyline progresses in a way that adds suspense and tension that includes the risk of peril and some emotionally raw sequences. I was caught a little off guard by how much depth the story contained, and by how engaged in the arcs as I was. I like, too, that the show doesn't get bogged down and trapped in some of the storytelling minutiae that have the potential to derail the momentum by getting just lost in the weeds. Now, for instance, there is a discovery the crew makes, and while it is intriguing and mysterious, the plot doesn't stop down and then pivot to follow this new arc. Instead, weaves the discovery into the existing direction and then uses that incorporation to build out other complexities. This then works to keep the story moving and not drag by going off on some tangent that could break the connection with Murderbot and his crew. Now, the visual effects in this, I thought they were a lot of fun and crafted really well. A lot of what we see is CGI and green screened simply because we're on an alien landscape, and the show focuses a lot on a cyborg who occasionally has a lot of their insides visible just thanks to battle damage. Now, the execution for Murderbot's repairs, it's both intriguing and it looks great, giving us an idea of what printing fleshy circuitry could look like. And it's not overly gross either. I mean, there are some moments of extreme or sudden violence, and some fight sequences are very immersive and energetic. But on the whole, despite the name of the series, this isn't a gore fest. Now, I think the biggest detriment this show has is in its release schedule and the episode lengths. Like just about every Apple show, this has weekly episodic drops, drawing out the storytelling for about 9 weeks. And that's not really the issue. The problem is that the majority of these episodes have a total runtime of like 20-ish minutes. And when you remove the end credits and the intro sequence that plays in every episode, and then maybe a recap that they might add, you are left with a weekly episode that's about 15 minutes long. That's just not okay. I mean, even if you get a total of 20 minutes of actual story within each week's release, that's just not enough to make me want to come back week after week. I mean, maybe you're okay with that. That is cool. But For better storytelling and watching experience, I would recommend watching the first 2 episodes. Then see if you like what you see. Then wait until July for the final episode to drop and binge the entire thing. Even then, it's going to be a fast binge because of all the short episodes. Now, I had a lot of fun with this. I mean, I think the story, while engaging enough to keep me hooked, could have benefited from longer episodes, allowing even more development and depth on the burgeoning relationships between Murderbot and those he serves. I mean, this still contains the emotional draw of a good drama, mixed with dry wit and exciting action, all combining to create an enveloping series that left me wanting to spend more time with the characters and their adventures. There is no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give season 1 of Murderbot 4 out of 5 couches. And this is fun, but I really recommend watching as a whole once the whole series hits the final episode. It's going to just be way more satisfying of an experience. All right, what's your favorite sci-fi series? And you can't say Star Trek. I would love to hear your choices in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.